Good evening, and welcome to this special report. Subscribe for more updates on the latest news in Zimbabwe. The battle for Zimbabwe's top leadership has just taken a dramatic and very public twist. Vice President Constantino Chiwenga, once hailed as a national hero for his role in bringing President Emmerson Mnangagwa to power, is now facing explosive corruption allegations. And these allegations are not coming from the opposition, they are coming from within his own party, the ruling ZANU-PF. Former legislator and outspoken government critic Temba Mliswa, who also happens to be related to President Mnangagwa, has launched a scathing attack on Chiwenga. In a leaked audio rant, Mliswa accuses the vice president of corruption, of unexplained personal wealth, and of helping Chinese companies plunder Zimbabwe's diamond riches. At the heart of these accusations lies a staggering number, $15 billion. That's right, $15 billion. It is the same figure once famously cited by the late Robert Mugabe, who claimed that Zimbabwe had lost that amount in diamond revenues from the Chiadzwa fields. For years, Zimbabweans have asked, where did that money go? Who pocketed it? And now, fingers are pointing directly at Chiwenga. Mliswa claims that when Chiwenga was commander of the defense forces and Mnangagwa was defense minister, billions in diamond revenue went missing. He questions how Chiwenga accumulated his wealth and whether it can be linked back to the lost billions from Chiadzwa. But make no mistake, this is not just about diamonds. It is about power. Because Mliswa's allegations came only days after Chiwenga himself presented a corruption dossier at a ZANU-PF Politburo meeting. That dossier, delivered in front of President Mnangagwa, reportedly named individuals linked to the president's faction. In other words, Chiwenga threw the first punch, and Mliswa's explosive rant is the counterpunch. And the stakes? Nothing less than the future of Zimbabwe's leadership. Now let's break this down. The $15 billion question. The figure of $15 billion has become legendary in Zimbabwean politics. Mugabe once told the nation that the country had lost that much from Chiadzwa through leakages, smuggling and shady deals. But over the years, critics and analysts have challenged the figure, calling it exaggerated. Official records suggest the country earned closer to $2 billion from diamond revenues over 10 years. Still, the number stuck. And in a country where poverty is widespread, unemployment is high, and basic services remain fragile, $15 billion has become a symbol of betrayal, theft, and broken promises. So when Mliswa linked Chiwenga to that figure, the political shockwaves were immediate. A party at war with itself, ZANU-PF is no stranger to factional fights. In 2017, it was Chiwenga himself, alongside the military, who engineered the coup that pushed Robert Mugabe out of power and installed Mnangagwa as president. At the time, Chiwenga was seen as Mnangagwa's closest ally. Fast forward to today, and the two men appear locked in a cold war. On one side is Mnangagwa, the veteran politician with decades of experience. On the other is Chiwenga, the soldier-turned-politician with ambition, influence, and a strong network of allies. The corruption dossiers being traded are not just about accountability. They are weapons in a high-stakes succession battle. Mnangagwa cancels on trip, and here's where things get even more dramatic. President Mnangagwa has reportedly cancelled all foreign trips, including his planned journey to the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Why? Because intelligence sources allegedly warned him that corruption cases against his allies are ready to be filed. If he leaves the country, arrests could follow, leaving his camp weakened and vulnerable. It is a clear sign of how tense and unstable the situation has become. Even the president himself no longer feels secure enough to leave Zimbabwe. What this means for Zimbabweans, for ordinary Zimbabweans, watching from the sidelines, this is a grim spectacle. The ruling party is at war with itself, trading accusations of theft and corruption while the economy continues to struggle. The average Zimbabwean still asks the same painful question. Who really benefited from Chiadzwa's diamonds? Where did the billions go? While hospitals ran short of medicine, while roads crumbled, And while young people left the country in search of jobs abroad, for many, this fight is not about justice. It's about which faction of ZANU-PF gets to control power, resources, and the future of the state. Analysts weigh in. Political analysts warn that the escalation of this feud could destabilize the party. Some suggest that Chiwenga's dossier was an open challenge to Mnangagwa's authority, while Mliswa's fiery response shows just how divided the party has become. Others argue that corruption has become the main battleground because it resonates with the public. Zimbabweans know corruption is widespread, so each faction is trying to weaponize it to discredit the other. But here's the catch. Despite all the accusations, very few senior figures have ever been held accountable in court. Corruption cases often disappear, are delayed, or are quietly dropped. And so, while the rhetoric is fiery, the outcomes remain uncertain. International perspective. The world is also watching. Zimbabwe's diamonds, particularly from Chiadzwa, have long been a source of controversy internationally. Human rights groups accuse the government and the military of abuses in the diamond fields, including forced labor and violent crackdowns on local miners. Linking senior officials to billions in lost revenue could renew pressure on Zimbabwe from watchdog groups and foreign governments, especially if the story gains traction in international media. What happens next? So, what happens now? Will Chiwenga respond directly to Mliswa's allegations? Will Mnangagwa move to protect his allies? Or will he sacrifice a few to show strengths? Could this feud trigger a broader split within ZANU-PF, leading to a realignment of power ahead of future elections? At this stage, one thing is clear. The gloves are off. What began as a quiet rivalry has exploded into a public confrontation, with corruption as the battlefield. And for Zimbabwe, the consequences could be huge. As we end this report, Zimbabweans are left with yet another reminder that the nation's wealth has long been the subject of mystery, controversy, and allegations of theft. Whether the figure is $15 billion or much less, the truth is that billions have been lost. And while the ruling party fights among itself, ordinary people continue to bear the cost. The succession battle in ZANU-PF is far from over. If anything, it has only just begun. We will keep following this story as it develops. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more information on Zimbabwe.